Hello, this is Slate with Combo of Rocks, bringing you another video deck tech of a deck that we built by request and have for sale. If you're not familiar with us, we make and sell custom budget EDH decks. These decks are light on the budget, so they may not be optimal or competitive, but they're definitely fun and centered around a central theme that you can build on. So today we have Teysa Karlov, which is 2 black, white for a 2/4 legendary human advisor. If a creature dying would cause a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that triggers an additional time. Creature tokens you have control have vigilance and lifelink. So this is all about sacrificing your own creatures to make tokens and maybe spawn some other sort of leaving the battlefield triggers. So let's get into the deck. We have Drivnod, Carnage, Dominus, 3 black for an 8/3 legendary Phyrexian Horror. Same ability as Teysa there. If a creature dying would cause a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, it triggers an additional time. You can pay Phyrexian black to exile 3 creature cards from your graveyard and put an indestructible counter on Drivnod. We have Legions to Ashes, 1 white black sorcery, exile a non-land permanent opponent controls, and all tokens that player controls with the same name as that permanent. Archon of Justice, 3 white for a 4/4 Archon with flying. When it goes to the graveyard, exile target permanent. Great ability to copy with Teysa. Revivify, 2 and a white, roll a d20, add the number of creature cards in your graveyard that were put from the battlefield this turn. 1 through 14, return all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield to your hand. 15+, return those cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Obviously, the 15+ is amazing. Norn's Wellspring, 1 and a white artifact. Whenever a creature you control dies, scry 1, put an oil counter, 1, tap, remove 2 oil counters to draw a card. Timeless Dragon, 3 white for a 5/5 flying with plane cycling 2. You can also eternalize this from your graveyard for 2 white, making a 4/4 black zombie dragon creature token. By invitation only, 3 white, choose a number between 0 and 13. Each player sacrifices that many creatures. Austere Command, 4 white, choose 2. Destroy all artifacts, all enchantments, destroy all creatures with mana value 3 or less, or mana value 4 or greater. Harvester of Souls, 4 black for a 5/5 demon with Death Touch. Whenever a non-token creature dies, draw a card. High Society Hunter, 3 black for a 5/3 vampire noble with flying. Whenever it attacks, you can sack a creature. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever a non-token creature dies, draw a card. Midnight Reaper, 2 and a black for a 3/2 zombie knight. Whenever a non-token creature dies, it deals damage to you and you draw a card. Mayogen of Grim Betrayal, 5 and 3 black for a 5/2 legendary spirit. If you cast it from your hand, it enters with an indestructible counter. You can remove that indestructible counter to put all creature cards from your graveyard onto the battlefield that were put there this turn. Solemn Simulacrum, 4 mana 2/2. When it enters, search for a basic land, put on the battlefield tapped. When it goes to the graveyard, draw a card. Into some mana rocks, we have Coalition Relic, Talisman of Hierarchy, our Orzhov Signet, Firemind Vessel, Navigation Orb, our colorless Cultivate, Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, our colorless Rampant Growth, Marble Diamond, taps for white, Charcoal Diamond, taps for black, Perilous Mirror, 2 mana 1/1. When it goes to the graveyard, it deals 2 damage to any target. Ravenous Amulet, 2 mana artifact, 1 tap, sack a creature, draw a card, put a soul counter on it. 4 tap, sacrifice the artifact. Each opponent loses life equal to the number of soul counters on this. Elas Il-Kor, Sadistic Pilgrim, black for a 2/2 legendary Phyrexian Core Cleric with Death Touch. Whenever a creature enters under your control, gain a life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life. Denethor, Ruling Steward, 1 white for a 2/4 human noble. On your end step, if a creature died, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. 2, sack a creature. Each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Fiendish Panda, 2 white for a 3/2 bear demon. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on it. When it dies, return a non-bear creature card with lesser mana value than its power to your graveyard from the battlefield. Rite of Oblivion, white sack a creature or sack a permanent as an additional cost to cast. Exile a non-land permanent with flashback 2 white. White Glove Gourmand, 2 white for a 2/2 human noble. When it enters, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. On your end step, if another human died, create a food token. Lingering Souls, 2 and a white, create 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying with flashback for 1 and a black. Doom Traveler, 1 white for a 1/1 human soldier. When it dies, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Garrison Cat, 1 white for a 1/1 cat. When it goes to the graveyard, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Hunted Witness, 1 white for a 1/1 human. When it goes to the graveyard, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. Mausoleum Guard, 3 and a white for a 2/2. When it goes to the graveyard, put 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. Cathar Commando, 1 and a white for a 3/1 with flash. Human soldier, you can pay 1 and sack it to destroy an artifact or enchantment. Magnanimous Magistrate, 5 and white for a 3/4. Enters with 5 reprieve counters on it. Whenever a non-token creature you control goes to the graveyard, if its mana value is 1 or greater, you can remove that many reprieve counters from it. If you do, return that card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Scouting Hawk, 2 and a white for a 1/1 flying bird. When it enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search for a basic plains, put on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Core Cartographer, 3 and a white for a 2/2 Core Scout. When it enters, search for a plains, put on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Muster the Departed. 2 and a white. When it enters, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. On your end step, if a creature died, it populates. So create a copy of a token. Vampiric Rites. 1 black for an enchantment. 1 black, sack a creature, gain a life, draw a card. Corrupted Conviction. 1 black instant. As an additional cost to cast, sack a creature, draw 2 cards. Village Rites. Same thing, a different name, same card. Eviscerator's Insight. 1 and a black instant. As additional cost to cast, sack an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards with flashback, 4 and a black. Morbid Opportunist. 2 and a black for 1/3 human rogue. Whenever another creature dies, draw a card. Only triggers once each turn. Disciple of Perdition. 1 and a black for 1/3 human warlock. When it goes to the graveyard, choose one. If you have exactly 13 life, choose both. Draw a card and lose a life. Or exile target opponent's graveyard. That player loses a life. Dreadhound. 4 black for 6/6 demon dog. When it enters, mill 3 cards. When a creature dies or is put into the graveyard from the library, each opponent loses 1 life. Vindictive Vampire. 3 and a black for a 2/3 vampire. Whenever another creature goes to the graveyard you control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain a life. Falconwrath Noble. 3 and a black for a 2/2 vampire noble with flying. Whenever it or another creature you control, or not you control, any creature goes to the graveyard, target opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Blood Artist. Same card, smaller body without flying for 1 and a black. Bastion of Remembrance. 2 and a black. Enchantment. When it enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. When a creature you control goes to the graveyard, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Agent of the Iron Throne. 2 and a black. Legendary enchantment background. Commander creatures have whenever an artifact or creature is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. Reassembling Skeleton. 1 and a black for a 1/1 skeleton warrior. You can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped for 1 and a black. Nested Shambler. 1 black for a 1/1. When it goes to the graveyard, create X 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens where X is its power. So if you have a way to bump its power and then sack it, it's even better. Viscera Zero. 1 black for a 1/1 vampire wizard. Sack a creature, scry 1. Phyrexian Vivisector. 1 and a black for 2/2. When a creature you control goes to the graveyard, scry 1. Eaten Alive. 1 black. Sorcery is an additional cost to cast. Sack a creature or pay 3 and a black. Exile a creature or planeswalker. Bone Shards. 1 black is additional cost to cast. Sack a creature or discard a card. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Spark Harvest. 1 black is additional cost to cast. Sack a creature or pay 3 and a black. Destroy a creature or planeswalker. Dig Up the Body. 2 and a black with Casualty 1, so you can sack a creature with power 1 or less or greater and copy the spell. Mill 2 cards and return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Dutiful Attendant. 2 and a black for 1/2 human warrior. When it does go to the graveyard, return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Driver of the Dead. 3 and a black for a 3/2 vampire. When it does go to the graveyard, return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Orzhov Racketeers. 4 and a black for 3/2 with Afterlife 2. So when it does go to the graveyard, create 2 1/1 white and black spirit creature tokens with flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. Malfield Twins. 5 and a black for a 4/4 zombie. When it goes to the graveyard, create 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. And Gravedigger. 3 and a black for a 2/2 zombie. When it comes into play, return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Into some lands. Vault of the Archangel. Taps for a colorless. 2 black white creatures you control gain death touch and lifelink until end of turn. Hostile. Taps for a colorless. 1 tap, sack a creature, put a soul counter. If it has 3 or more soul counters, remove them, untap it, and transform it. It becomes a 3/7 creeping N horror construct. When it attacks, exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, each opponent loses X life. You gain X life or X the number of creature cards exiled with it. You can also pay 4 mana to phase it out. We have Restless Fortress. This one does become a 1/4 when it attacks. The defending player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Shambling Vent becomes a 2/3 white and black elemental with lifelink. Shine Shadow Snarl. Desolate Mire. Caves of Koilos. Temple of Silence. Painted Field. Orzhov Basilica. Silver Quill Campus. Orzhov Guildgate. Neglected Manor. Scoured Barrens. Snowfield Sinkhole. Great Hall of Starnheim. You can pay white, black, sack a creature to create a 4/4 Angel Warrior creature token with flying and vigilance. Myriad Landscape for some colorless ramp. Command Tower. And then some basic plains and swamps here. That's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it, but we'll see you next time.